Today we're going to be reviewing the absolutely tiny Blade Nano QX quadcopter. The Nano QX is available in two different forms. The ready-to-fly version, which includes everything to get started. You don't need anything. They provide a transmitter with it, a battery, and the quad itself, a few spare propellers. So that's great. That gets you right out the door without any additional equipment. However, if you already own a Spectrum transmitter, they sell a bind and fly version, which doesn't come with this transmitter, and you can bind this model to that transmitter that you already own. So it's great for Spectrum owners, people who already own Spectrum products and just want to fly the quad. It reduces the cost a bit and you can get a better radio system. Blade also sells an FPV version, which has a built-in FPV camera and transmitter. It's a great product, and if you're looking to get into FPV, that's a great way to start. I'll put links to all three versions in the description below so you can check them out in case you're looking to buy them. The craft weighs in at a mere 16 grams and measures about 4 inches from motor to motor. This is by far one of the smallest and lightest quads I've ever flown. The quad is powered by these absolutely tiny 2-inch props mounted on equally tiny brushed motors. The whole assembly here is protected at each end by these prop guards, which is really helpful for when you bump into things, especially when you fly indoors. And trust me, you will bump into stuff. It has a little bit of a spring to it and will absorb the impact. I really feel that the weight and the prop guards on this quad are a very attractive feature. They really take the fear out of flying, and this is great for people who are starting out. And most of the people who are going to end up buying this quad are people starting out. It's a great investment. It takes the fear out of flying, it takes the fear out of crashing, and helps you learn. And it also prevents you from damaging things in your house like computer screens, TV screens when you do happen to crash into something, or even scratch up your wall, for example. Under the hood, the Nano QX is equipped with Horizon Hobby's extremely popular safe system. Now, the safe system has two major flight modes, the stability mode and the agility mode. Now, the stability mode is great for people who are starting out. In this mode, the flight controller restricts how much you can pitch and roll. So it makes for much smoother, calmer flights, especially when you're starting out. When you're in the stability mode, the LED on the quadcopter burns a solid blue. The agility mode, on the other hand, takes away a lot of those training wheels or controls of how much you can pitch and roll. In this mode, it doesn't control anything. You're pretty much on your own, and it's better suited for people who are more proficient in flying multirotors. You'll get there, but you want to start out in the stability mode and then slowly work your way up to the agility mode. And when you're in the agility mode, you'll see that the LED on the craft is red. So pay attention to the color of the LEDs. Blue is stability, red is agility. You also have the option to choose between two different rates. Now, when I say rates, what it means is the speed at which it can roll or pitch. So in high rates, you can actually pitch or roll much faster. In low rates, you can pitch or roll much slower. So if you start in the low rates, the advantage is you get much better control over your aircraft, and you can understand your aircraft much better, control it, and not be so afraid of crashing. Flight characteristics on the quad are extremely impressive. The quad flies much smoother than a whole lot of quads we've tested and is very easy to fly. It maintains an extremely stable hover, especially in the stability mode. You can do very tight pirouettes, and it's very agile when you need it to be. So you can actually switch it into the high rate mode and go do a lot of high speed flying. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is an indoor quad. Don't try to fly it outdoors. It will not handle even the slightest of wind. You will lose your quad to the wind. So make sure to fly indoors. It's a lot of fun indoors. It's built to be flown indoors, and you shouldn't be flying it outdoors. Now, the transmitter that does come with the ready-to-fly kit is decent. It's very ergonomic, very easy to hold, quite light. And the sticks are decent, not perfect. They're decent. I've seen much worse. It's actually very usable, especially for this quad. However, if you do own a Spectrum radio already, I really wouldn't recommend getting this. Stick to your Spectrum radio and bind it to the Nano QX. You'll have a lot of fun, you'll save yourself a little bit of money, and you'll get a much better radio. Now, if you're starting out in this hobby and you don't own a Spectrum transmitter, we highly recommend getting the ready-to-fly kit. You won't regret it. It's very easy to use. This tiny quad is powered by an even tinier battery. It's a 1S 150 milliamp hour battery. Now you will get about 7 to 8 minutes of flight time depending on how aggressively you fly it. However, it's a good idea to get spare batteries just so you can go out and fly and have a little bit of fun. So make sure to get a few spares. Now the biggest advantage, as with all other Blade products, is the availability of spare parts. If you happen to crash and break something, you'll get all the spares you need. Very easy to repair, very easy to find parts. And unlike cheap Chinese RC toys, the manual for the Nano QX is written in very good English. Everything is very clearly laid out, well illustrated, and the best part is it gives you very specific instructions on how to bind and set up your Spectrum transmitter for the Nano QX. So no matter which Spectrum transmitter you end up using, there's proper and very clear instructions on how to bind your transmitter to the craft. So don't ignore the manual, it's extremely helpful. Make sure to read it before you go flying the first time. So our overall thoughts about the Blade Nano QX. The Nano QX is an extremely well-designed quadcopter. Its tiny size and its extremely insignificant weight make it a very good quad to fly around the house. And this helps you to learn and get into the hobby before you buy yourself a bigger quadcopter. I was also extremely impressed by how stable it is. It's an extremely stable craft, especially considering its size. Most small quadcopters of this size are kind of twitchy. This one was very stable, it was extremely smooth, and it just flew absolutely well. In fact, it flew much like a much bigger quad. It helps you to build your skills because it's extremely stable. You can leave it in the stability mode and learn how to fly. I definitely recommend this to anyone who's looking to get into the world of multi-rotors or quadcopters or drones. This is a great first quad to have before you go out and buy a more expensive quad. It really helps to build your skill set and move you forward in the hobby. I've put links to the 3 different versions of the Nano QX in the description below, so feel free to check those out. If you found this review helpful, please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to stay tuned for more reviews. Thanks for watching.